Ah, thank you. Thanks, Bill.
Sure.
Okay. Did everybody get to watch it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, good. Okay. I'll just start with the little blurb from Wikipedia that you might have already but I'll just start there. Okay, American Fiction is a 2023 American comedy drama, and I would throw in there satire film written and directed by Cord Jefferson in his feature directorial debut. Based on the 2001 novel Erasure by Percival Everett, it follows a frustrated novelist professor who writes an outlandish satire of stereotypical Black books, only for it to be mistaken for serious literature and published to high sales and critical praise. It stars Jeffrey Wright, Tracee Ellis Ross, Issa Rae, Sterling K. Brown, John Ortiz, Erika Alexander, Leslie Uggams, Adam Brody, and Keith David. It premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2023, won the People's Choice Award. It grossed $23 million since March of this year. It's grossed 23 million and received numerous accolades. Named one of the top 10 films of 2023 by the American Film Institute. Also received 5 nominations at the Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor for Wright, and Jefferson winning Best Adapted Screenplay. As a side, I did go and look at, it was nominated, it had over, if I think I wrote it down, 154 nominations for different accolades, and it won 70. It won or was in the top, few top standing. It won 70 of them. So it was really well received by most of the critics. The questions that I wanted, that I thought were important, and I will defer to Gare, but I thought the character, the arc of the character, and the relationship is what moves this movie along. So I will, and since people were asking about satire a few movies ago, I thought that we should discuss the role of satire in the film and how effectively does American Fiction use satire to address the serious issues. So that's where I am, and I'll throw it out to you guys.
How did it do on in the box office?
It did well. It did 23 million. Well, compared to what it cost. Let me see if I've got the cost.
Talk about timing is everything. Well, if they'd have released it this year, they'd have cleaned up.
Yeah, it was I know I have it here somewhere.
Why do you say that?
But it was something like 8 million
Because
to make it.
last year they had to do Barbenheimer.
Pardon me?
Is that what you mean, Gary?
Yeah.
No, what you said, if they'd have done it this year, they would have cleaned up. What do you mean?
Hey, can you fix your volume?
Is it too low?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
hearing you fine.
Maybe it's best.
There, that's fine. It might just
speak into the microphone.
Okay.
We had John do that for us.
He mismeant last year would have gone up against Barbenheimer.
It did go up
Yeah,
against
it did.
It did go up against Barbenheimer.
It did, yeah.
It did, and that's why, yeah.
If all it
But
had was the fall guy this year, it would have cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
It actually, as of this March, it grossed 21.1 million in the US and Canada and 1.9 in other territories. Total worldwide gross of 23 million.
What was their budget?
You know the budget?
I believe it was like 8 or 9.
10
That what says 10.
on Wikipedia. It says 10.
Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. So it made some money. I think, and I don't know why it. to me, especially after it was nominated, I thought that it would just zoom way up there, but again,
Yeah,
what do I know?
assumed it did a lot better. I really liked this movie. I saw it when it came out last year and I liked it then, so I was looking forward to seeing it again. And, it makes you wonder about the whole intent of the movie and all that, American fiction, what its title is about. Because you think it's a black satire, and I guess it is. But I mean, at the end, it's just such a great ending,
Yeah, I did you like the ending?
Oh yeah. I thought
Yeah.
when we left the movie theater after seeing it when it first came out, I really liked the ending. I was happy to watch it again because I wanted to remember what happened.
Yeah.
Now that's where we would have lost Terry on this movie, at the ending.
Oh yeah, he would have counted the guns. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Well, I just left.
They have medicine for that now,
Terry takes medicine, but it's maybe not the right medicine.
Doesn't sound like
And it's probably not legal. No, excuse me.
One of my neighbors is a professor at Missouri State, and I just saw him down at the pool, and I realized that there's 10 of us weighing in on a black movie, and I should have stopped and asked him, because I'm sure he would have had a take on what it means to a black audience. And it was a bunch of white people sitting around.
Yeah, where's the black
Right,
people?
exactly.
What this
Yeah.
means, and we don't have a single black face on our Hollywood squares here. And I should have asked him, because my guess is it's a lot different, their take on it. Because I remember back in what was it, when Green Book won for Best Picture?
Yeah.
It was a movie that white audiences liked and felt good about, but black audiences did not feel good about it because it showed, one more example of the white guy, saving the black guy.
Saving.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I haven't seen anything about what a black audience or what a black author or a black filmmaker has said about this movie, but my guess is it would be different than what we think about it. And they may have a whole different take on where that ending landed.
Well, when I was looking at all the accolades, the majority of the nominations for Best Picture, or whatever the nomination was for, there were tons from NAACP and a lot of the black organizations. So my guess is that they really liked it. I know Jeffrey Wright did when I was listening to one of his interviews. That he and what they say, I think has some obviously has some merit. Is it because I think that there was, who was it? I think one of the publishers, she said something and I actually wrote it down. It was white people think they want the truth, they just really want to feel absolved. And I thought, yeah, is that reason why it was so popular? And is that how white people feel when they see one of these, black exploitation films? I don't know.
Do you feel like the satire was playing to us?
Absolutely. No, I absolutely.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean, I love the acting, but I'm not sure what story I should be keying in on.
There's a lot of stories going on there. A lot of social issues they touched on. Caring for parents and Alzheimer's and homosexuality, besides the white perception of black people.
Did you love Cliff though? His brother, his gay brother. Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So funny.
What do you think of that remark he made?
Take a lover.
Yeah.
You call it taking a lover. He's like,
I don't care that you're taking
right now. Hey, where are you going?
Yeah.
I love Sterling K. Brown. He's a St. Louisan, by the way. I love Sterling K. Brown. He was killing me in this. I apologize. I don't think I got into sort of the depth of what you got. Roe versus Wade,
I know, I love
That was
that.
funny.
in this movie. I was tickled. Maybe I need to watch it again, but you
No,
know,
no,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
then
that's
when the
exactly how
characters-
I felt.
When the character
first
is
of all,
writing,
it's the
they're asking him like,
relationships.
"What do I say now?" And the dialogue is awful. It's just terrible, and he knows it. You know, it cracked me up. I have to say, I took some notes too. Oh, Hollywood! The whole town lives on book reports.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Roe versus
So
Wade was the
true.
best joke in the movie. I thought
Yeah.
that was,
The
I
what?
thought Roe versus Wade
Roe
was,
versus Wade, yeah.
Yeah,
was the
that was
best
a
joke
great
in the
one.
movie, and there were lots of good lines like that, like the book report line.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
loved the relationship between the brother and sister when Lisa
yeah,
was with Monk.
right.
I just, she said, did any one of my movies really, help you? And she said, absolutely. I had a wobble in my dining room, and your book was the exact right size
Which
to
tells
stop
you
the
it's a
wobble.
little
I
bitty
love
book
that.
too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Everything, that's I think one of the main things about this movie for me was the relationships. There was the relationship that Monk has with everyone, but he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room,
Right.
because he triggers a student, and yet he gets triggered by the student being triggered. So I loved that about him. He knew nothing about his father's, his relationship to his father and his mother were completely different than Lisa and Cliff. Yeah.
Cliff, yeah.
Because the two of them bonded together against Monk, because Monk was smart. He was smart and he was brilliant and it was all that stuff. But what I noticed is that he really doesn't have a sense of humor. He gets a little bit of it when he gets back home, when he's with his brothers and sisters. But prior to that, he doesn't seem, in my opinion, doesn't seem to have many relationships. The only close relationship that I could see that he really had was with his agent.
Yeah.
That's probably the only one. He didn't see his family. He doesn't have any, it seems like he was never married, or if he was, it wasn't a big deal, whatever. I didn't think he was ever married, where his brother and sister were married and divorced, and and they just had a completely different life than he had. So I thought that the biggest thing in the movie was the relationships that he did or didn't have, and the relationships that everyone else had with each other, and then the not just the relationships, but the not letting anybody in, how people do and don't let people into their lives. And I think that was shown really well with Jeffrey and all the other guys too. So anyway.
There was some discussion about him as being a genius and how geniuses have a hard time letting people in, I think. And that we've heard that theme a few times in other settings. And I thought that was kind of an interesting reiteration of that idea, that they have a hard time making those human relationships that people who don't think so hard about things don't have trouble doing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But he finally was able to connect with that producer, the one, that made his
Wiley.
Wiley, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I mean, they connected, just boom, boom, boom. They hit it off. So they were on the same plane, so to speak. But he had to, I don't really like using this term, but I don't know what else to say. Because he was a genius, he had to dumb down his writing in order for it to be picked up by any of the publishing houses and sold. And then he dumbed it down even more by changing the title of the book.
I know.
And, it goes to New York Times bestseller list. But it took him a while to figure that out. And you could see the cogs turning in his mind as he's listening to Santara, I think her name was.
Yeah, Santara, yeah.
And how her book was selling and why his wasn't. And he finally figured it out.
Right.
It was interesting as he thought, I'm going to write this awful book just to prove a point. And then once it was out there, he really wanted to pull it back in. He tried changing the title so they would reject it, and they thought about it for a while and said, sure, that's a great
How
idea.
brave. How brave.
There is a very strong parody of how people in those situations really are sycophantic about these stars that they perceive who are really tuned into the culture of things, and they figure this person is understands things that we don't understand. I think that idea about absolution kind of fits into that whole business as well, that people felt like this has given me some kind of an excuse or a way out, and if I glom onto this concept, it's going to make me a better person, or more acceptable, or a successful business person, because we're going to publish this book that's going to be a killer and then sell the movie rights and all that stuff. It was an interesting sort of cross section of all that.
Jeff, I congratulate you on being the first one, as far as I know, I don't know however many years we've been doing this, to work in the word sycophantic into the conversation. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I've had that on a little pad here by my computer for a few.
Cross that one off.
One of the things that I don't know, I guess if I was in the mind of the character, do you think the character would have been, and I'm going to put people in two different camps, this is very generic. There are folks who celebrate Black History Month because they want certain things celebrated and a history that's different than the mainstream history highlighted. And then there are people who don't want that. They want to be American, but not separate Americans. And I got the sense that this guy was real keen on, if you would have asked him, or what are you doing for Black History Month? He would have said, I don't do anything for Black History Month.
Right.
I have a home on Cape Cod. I publish. I'm not trying to have myself perceived as different. I'm trying to have myself perceived as a legitimate author, not trying to appeal to a readership that is separate. But I think that's one of the, as Jeff Arthur said, there's so many things that they touch on in this movie. One of them is trying to break stereotypes and put people in situations where you might not normally think. Black families on Cape Cod, I didn't know that was a thing, and both of them are doctors. His sister's a doctor, he's a professor. There's some things that if you are a hillbilly from the Ozarks, you go, I didn't know those things occurred, And I wonder if part of the movie maker or the character's intent was to kind of push that out there and say, let us break some stereotypes. But that was the thing that it kept showing up for me. And then once you get past that, it's like Karen said, there's just funny stuff. There's just funny jokes. If you get past the idea that this may be a movie for us and not them, if you can accept it as a mainstream movie, it's just funny stuff.
He moves his books. Were you talking about him like not celebrating Black History Month or whatever? When he decides in the bookstore they're in the wrong place.
Right.
And he all his books,
Yeah, exactly.
And
There's
then
nothing to do with African.
A mountain of her books, not in the Black History section, in the place where he thought his books belonged. Yeah,
Exactly.
No, it was, the cinematography was really pretty cool too. There were certain times where the camera would either move way out or it would move way in, or something would get highlighted and you'd be like, wow, visually this was, I thank you for recommending it. I had not seen it before and I really liked this movie.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, I did too. That's why. Yeah. And I think I think relationship is like the biggest theme, I think, in it. You know, the relationship, especially that he has with, you know, his family, his agent, his work, everything about it. And that relationship was so tight. Wrong word, not tight, but it wasn't there. There was hardly anything there. And then learning how to open a little bit. And that's there's where the arc, I think, happened, Gare, when he does start to open up. And what he realizes is opening up means not keeping secrets. And there were so many secrets in that family that it's just kind of something that you did. So anyway, yeah, I like it. Let me see if I've got another question that might spark
one of my favorite scenes is the sister's beachside funeral. Her farewell letter.
I know, her eulogy.
I'd like to borrow that, you know, and put it in my own words for other people to read on my behalf. And her final word is just goodbye, you know.
Goodbye. Thank you all for coming. Yeah.
Don't hang on to me. Just, you know, goodbye. I thought that
Yeah.
And then she would hope to die. She hoped to die with
under the throes of Idris Elba.
The sweaty Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Yeah.
I know. It was wonderful.
Like I said, I might change a few of the words in there.
Yeah.
The spirit would be...
And then that obnoxious,
sweaty Melissa McCarthy. I don't know what.
That obnoxious guy that came along and said, "Are those human remains?"
Yes. You have a permit.
Yeah, and then Cliff goes for him.
Yeah.
I
think his name was Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making my name into it.
I think Cliff knew him.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think he was.
They knew him.
Yeah, the whole family knew him because they told him to go away. His name was Phil, I think. And apparently, he's a PETA in the neighborhood there, and they're all tired of him. They're trying to get rid of him. So, yeah, he was well known as a disruptor and
as the jerk.
Trouble.
Yeah.
Sanders, what do you got?
Oh, I don't know. I go along with what Gary was saying about Black History Month or whatever. You know, Morgan Freeman is famous for saying we don't need a Black History Month. We need to be celebrating blacks every day of the year, and I certainly agree with that myself. But I did take Black history when I was in college, and I took Black American fiction when I was in college. So, you know, books like Soul on Ice were on my shelf.
Sure.
You know,
but does
played
it need
into
to
all
be
that.
studied separately?
Yeah. But anyway, I thought it was a great movie. I had a great time watching it the first time around, and this is the second time for me, and I had a blast then.
I'm good.
I love the brother character. He was great, and I forgot his name.
Cliff.
Plastic surgeon.
Right?
Yeah, plastic surgeon. That's right.
He said, "That's the difference here."
And that's right. If I see dead bodies,
if I see a dead
has
body,
gone awry.
what's totally wrong here.
Yeah, that was great.
There was so much about it.
He was great comic relief for all the, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sullenness of Richard Wright, you know, and all of his things that were going on. His brother was a great foil, so that made it very entertaining, I thought.
Yeah.
When Lisa told him the first time about their dad's affair and how she'd seen him apart with a white woman, it was so Boston. He turns around and he says, "Brahmin white or South?"
Yeah.
It's like, because to him, if it was Brahmin white, well, if it was
Exactly.
Not too
white,
shabby.
no way. Yeah.
I know.
So Boston.
Yeah. One of the things that that Lisa, the sister, had said the only thing she learned from her parents, from her dad, was boredom and rage. And I thought, oh, so he thinks that his father is the greatest thing since, you know, sliced bread, and she recognizes who he really was. And I think Cliff is the one that said you loved him too much. You didn't see any of the flaws, you know. And it was just such a just interesting that he was so triggered by that student, you know, the student in the first scene, you know, where he's in the class and she doesn't want to see the N-word, and you know, and he says, well, if I can handle it, I think you can. And she doesn't get the connotation at all. You know, he's Black, and if he can handle it, certainly she should be able to, but she can't. And then the other thing that I thought was pretty funny is that how he had this kind of superiority complex that if your books are sold in airports, obviously you're not good. You know, with that, it's like, yeah, I did 3. Yeah, you know, there was all that stuff that was going on. But I just all the way around, I just thought it was one of those just a good film, you know, that made you laugh and made you think. And if you can do those 2 things in a film, I think it's pretty good.
The device that they used to show the dialogue, where they actually had characters come in, you know, and act it out. I thought that was a clever way to show how he had, you know, devised the dialogue to match whatever the expectations were from his publishing company.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought too that the 2 guys that are playing his characters in his head were really, really good actors. They took that awful dialogue and they made it really good, I thought. You know, I mean, it was just like, I was expecting to laugh at something so ridiculous, and yet those 2 guys made that dialogue just seem as awful as stereotypical as it was. It still was acted so well that I had to give him credit for that. You know, that was another good part, I thought. You know, it really showed.
That all,
go ahead.
that all happened right in this office. Right? 2 people.
Yeah, right. That's right. Where he's thinking.
I thought that.
Go ahead.
The device of introducing that contest where he was invited to be a judge and then his own book gets stuck in there was really an interesting dynamic, and it forced him to continue to lie for a while, but it also set up that other scene, or that all those different scenarios that he created in his head later on. I thought that was, in terms of a way to bring those things in, it was a brilliant way to do that.
I thought it was great to have him face off over lunch with her.
Did you say it was nominated for an Oscar for adapted screenplay or original screenplay?
I think it was adapted because it's from Erasure.
From that other book.
Adapted.
Yeah, it's called Erasure by Percival.
Has anybody read that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. All those, if those things are in the book, Jeff, like that, where the contest becomes, you know, a touch point and the lunch becomes a touch point and everything, that's very clever writing. That's good.
Yeah.
And Sanders, in addition to Black History Month and, you know, Black literature, Sanders also did screenplay studies. So he's touched all the bases.
Yeah.
I think with the judges for the book prize you were talking about, I think they got into some stereotypes there too. Like the white guy with the denim shirt was sort of like, you know, that you know, alpha male type writer, and then the woman was so pandering, and you know, it was pretty. I thought it is sort of again kind of a stab at there's different kinds of stereotypes, people. You know,
that's right.
racial kinds, and then there's all kinds of different stereotypes. Yeah. So
they were cringeworthy for sure.
Yeah,
and they were the exact kind of people he was trying to get at with what he was doing. Yeah.
But I think it also opened his eyes to, this is how you win a prize. You got to impress me, you know? Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, his character wanted to make fun of that stereotypical novel, and yet when he's offered all that money, and I mean, and that's the question, is like, you've got your ethics and your character in one hand, but taking all that money, and his mother needs this help and all that. And, you know, you've got to, do I do it or don't? I mean, I think he tried in every way possible to kind of get rid of it. And when no one would say, no, we want it, he just went, okay, well, take the money and run. Yeah. And I loved Stagger Lee as a nom de plume. Yeah. I mean, it was like, oh, please, Stagger Lee. And you guys remember the song Stagger Lee? I think it was Leon Price, was it somebody? You know, and it was about a murder and all that. It was just like, okay, perfect. And then the other thing that I thought was pretty interesting is that because he's named after a pretty famous jazz pianist, the music was kind of jazz piano in a lot of it. And I thought that was a nice touch too. It wasn't Monk, it wasn't Thelonious Monk, but it was piano, and mostly just piano. Maybe a little bit of percussion in there too. Might have been 3-piece, but mostly piano. So that was kind of interesting too, I thought. Anyway.
When he tries to do the jive walk.
Oh, yeah.
I know. When he tries to be, he takes off his glasses. And that was a great line too, when he said, I told you to dress street. Sesame Street is what he ended up dressing as. Yeah.
And he jumps up to chase the ambulance, and the guy thinks he's running off because he hears a siren. And
right. Because he's a wanted felon. Yeah.
He is so real.
Yeah. So real and raw. Yeah.
There was so much to like about this film, but I want to give a shout out to Leslie Uggams. I thought
oh yes, I love her.
Her role was terrific, really.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't get nominated. I think I was the first time I saw it too.
I was surprised she was still alive.
Yeah. How old is she? She's probably got to be 80. Wouldn't you say 80 something?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You can see 80 from here.
I mean,
I don't even need my glasses.
You mean old people?
Yes.
Right over there.
You know, them old guys. Yeah.
Middle of the last century, Jeff.
Yeah. You may have heard of it.
Where did we first see her?
Oh my God. Leslie Uggams was she in Roots? No.
She's 81 years old. She was born May 25th of 1943.
She was one of the Mouseketeers, wasn't she?
No, I think, and I don't know why I know this, but I think she was featured on the old program Mitch Miller.
Oh.
Yes, you're right.
Oh, wow.
You are right, Mike. Yes.
Wow.
I don't know why I know that, but
God, you must have been singing along. Yeah.
Sure I was.
You saw that in utero, right?
That's right. That's right. That's why you've got so much rhythm now.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
it was
say
in
Mitch
utero.
Miller, but it does say on television, Hullabaloo.
What is it? Oh, Hullabaloo. Yes. That. Remember?
That's
you don't
the
remember.
counterculture version of Mitch Miller. Yeah.
Mitch Miller and Hullabaloo.
She was
in
in
Roots in 77.
Yeah.
Was she in Roots?
She had her own show in 1969, the Leslie Uggams Show.
Okay.
She was
maybe that's what I'm thinking of too.
Shown in Jackson, Mississippi.
She's also been married since 1965.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who's
she married
Juilliard.
A guy named Graham Pratt.
Oh, I don't know.
But she was a big deal in Roots.
Yeah. I thought she was in Roots. Yeah.
And she does play in Deadpool now.
And
Oh, she
Deadpool 2.
does?
Yeah.
She's the blind lady, I think, right? Something
Yeah.
like that.
That's amazing.
I loved her line when she was in the nursing home and Cliff came to see her and he was dancing with her.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah.
And she whispers to him, I always knew you were a queer. And
Yeah.
he just stopped.
No, I
dancing.
think she said you
Walked
weren't
out.
a queer.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
weren't
the
one.
other way.
Weren't a
The
queer.
other way.
No, you were.
No,
I
weren't.
just looked it up. Donna.
Really?
Really?
Well, it
So
sounds-
I heard her say not,
Queer.
weren't.
So the mom
Awesome.
knew that he was gay all along, and in her Alzheimer's state of mind, she decides that she needs to tell him this, and so he
All right, we
immediately stops dancing with her. And
We need to
Right.
have,
I
we
mean,
need to have a bet. We need to have a bet.
yeah, I
Chris, how
think
much
so.
you
I
putting
think it's
up?
weren't.
How much?
That's
But
what
if
I
you looked
heard
it up,
too.
I mean, I'm just saying
here,
because
here, show
the
it to you.
reason why I think it segues into because his
why
father
he
didn't
walked
know
away.
that he was gay.
Right,
Remember?
right.
I mean, that's why I thought he
Go
walked
ahead
away.
and look it up.
I just looked it up. It
I'll
says
read it
was
to
not
you.
was not a queer.
Was
What
not.
I'm reading says, I always knew you were a queer. And this is under what did Agnes say to Cliff in American Fiction? It says Cliff tries to dance with Agnes to make her feel better, but the moment is ruined by her crudely telling Cliff, I always knew you were a queer. He leaves disappointed and angry before telling Coraline that their family will break her heart.
It doesn't
That's
make
not what
sense.
the dialogue is.
It makes a lot of sense.
No,
That's
I don't
funny
think
because
well,
He
it's
knew he was gay.
and
She
that's why,
knew.
and he
That's why
said
that's why
the
he
scene
stormed
after
off.
that. The
Yes,
scene after
that's why
that, he's saying, "I wish I had told my dad."
Right.
And Jeff says, "Well, he probably wouldn't have accepted it." He said, "But at least he would have known." So that's the way I thought I thought he walked away because she said, I always knew you were not a queer."
That's what
I
she
mean,
said.
I really thought,
Nope.
I don't have it in front of me, but I would, geez, I was sure it were not, but, and
Let's rewind.
Roll that
Jeff
clip
Arthur,
again.
where did you see yours?
Bill, roll that clip again, will you, Bill? Find that.
Yeah, play that clip. But Jeff Arthur, did you said it was were not?
Well, there's two different versions I'm looking at right now. One of Yahoo Movies UK says he wasn't a queer, and the movie spoiler says I always knew you were a queer.
So
So
it's like
I don't know
a
why there'd be two
different
different versions.
Go
Yeah.
back and turn on
Can't be
closed
two
captioning.
version.
Which version do you want? You can have
Thank you. So Chris, you and I have different versions, I guess. That's interesting.
I know what I heard, Donna. I know what I heard.
But I heard it too. But
We just have to
I
go
guess
back
we
and
have
watch
to watch
it
it again. Yeah.
We may have to, but yeah. But that's the thing about people with Alzheimer's. They will just come up with things out of the blue, and just
Sure.
unbelievable the amount of truth that's behind it.
Are
You
you
know,
accusing
no-
Donna of having Alzheimer's?
No, I am not.
Yes.
My mother had Alzheimer's, and I know how she would react to things, with some of the things that she would say just out of the blue, true blue things, just no filter would come out of her mouth. And so I guess I kind of related to that. So
Well, we'll have to report back next Monday.
Yes. I'm going to watch it again, or at least that part.
Whose turn
Yeah.
is it next Monday?
I think it's Mike Mahoney. Isn't it?
Mahoney.
What do you got?
Got 2015 movie, Eye in the Sky. It's a thriller set in the Mideast, and it's all about a drone bombing. And it's got Helen Mirren in it. It's the last movie that Alan Rickman was in.
Oh.
And it's all about a drone bombing and whether or not they should go through with it.
Wow.
Alan Rickman
That's
from
good.
Die Hard.
Pardon me?
Alan Rickman from Die Hard.
And Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
Yeah, and
Rickman.
Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rickman from Harry
Snape.
Potter. Yeah. Professor Snape. Yeah.
I have never
Is
seen
he-
a Harry Potter movie.
Oh,
Is he
No.
good? Is he bad? There's some
Huh?
real characters in there.
There
Me
are.
neither.
I'm with you, Matt, and I've never seen one either.
I never
Well, I
had.
read a book.
Me either.
Oh, I've read the book and seen the movies, and they're really good. I think they did more for kids learning to read at that time than anything could have. Those books were 800 pages, and the kids were reading them like crazy.
Yeah.
I thought it
She had
really
a
helped.
She had a great imagination, an amazing
She did. It
imagination.
was phenomenal,
A
phenomenal.
lot of the stuff was really funny too.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But I also don't watch the Marvel movies, so
Oh,
There you go.
yeah. Yeah, I watch those too.
I'm not an MCU person.
I have a movie recommendation. I'm not sure when it will be online. It's a French movie called Driving Madeline. And
What's it called again, Gare?
Driving Madeline.
Driving Madeline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this the Madeline from the children's books?
No, it's a lady who has called a taxi to take her to a nursing home. But the trip is the movie. Because it's not a direct route. And it's a great little movie. And I don't know when it was released in France, but I suspect that it will make its way into Oscar consideration here as a foreign film and maybe as a best movie, because it's really, really good.
Oh, that good. Wow.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
I watched The Challengers, which was fabulous. Thank you for that recommendation, but not a movie, but I did get to see Porgy and Bess yesterday down, and wow, was that phenomenal. Never seen it
Yes.
before.
You
It's
saw
very,
a
very
live
good.
stage
You saw a
version of it?
live theater?
Yes. Yeah.
Phenomenal. Oh,
Yeah,
that was
it's
the best.
playing here in Kansas City this week.
It
Oh,
is.
I
oh
saw
my
Guys and
God.
Dolls
That's such a
yesterday.
good one.
Oh, Guys and Dolls is good.
Yeah, that's a fun
Sit down,
one.
you're
Yeah.
rocking the boat.
I saw As You Like It at
Luck,
in-
be a
at the-
lady. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
saw As You Like It at the St. Louis, the Shakespeare in the Park they do every year in Forest Park. And again, it's a comedy, and
Yeah. I
and-
love.
and
Love that.
it was written as a very much a gender bending kind of play, even back in Shakespeare's time. But this cast just notches that up like tenfold, and it's really very quickly paced and funny. I highly recommend it, and it's Tuesday through Sunday, so no Mondays. But it's got at least 2 more weeks. I think the 23rd is the last performance. I know everybody except Jeff is too far away, but if you just happen to be coming through, or
Well,
Yeah.
Sanders probably can't make it. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think I can either, but hey.
yeah, I took 3 semesters of Shakespeare, so there. Throwing
I
that.
love Shakespeare.
What was it again? What was that show?
As you
As You
like,
Like
it.
It.
Like it.
As You Like It. It's one of his comedies,
Or What You Will?
or what you will, right? Or As You Like It, or What You Will.
Sanders, you always have good recommendations. What do you got?
Godzilla -1.
He's been waiting all night for that.
Yeah, really.
Godzilla what?
Godzilla
again.
-1. This is the
Oh,
prequel.
-1. Oh,
This is the prequel to the 1954 Godzilla.
No.
It is. And it played in movie theaters for several weeks, and then now it's on HBO Max. So you can watch it there without having to go to the theater. But they did it at the theater to try to get some Academy Awards, I think.
Oh my God.
Amazingly, the CG in it is pretty good, and they didn't spend very much money on it. Most of the blockbuster movies, $200 or $300 million movies, 200 of it is the CG.
Yeah.
This one is like a $17 million movie, and 3 million of it is the CG. And so it's kind of done old style, like the old style Godzilla was done.
Did it on
Like, you see
iPhone.
the fishing lines? Were they?
Yeah.
No, but some of the dub, it's on Max and it's dubbed. So the dubbing is wrong a lot, which reminds you of the old stuff.
And you're really pumping this up.
Yeah, really. Can't
I
wait.
enjoyed it. It's 125 minutes, so just a little over 2 hours. It's the origin story of Godzilla. He's a sea monster, and he also can. He has a death ray that he can charge up, but once he unleashes his death ray, like on a ship that's after him, he has to recharge. So they have a chance to come after him. And so, anyway, it's a love story. It's a monster movie. It's everything.
It's got everything.
It's got everything. But I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. And then another one I want to recommend is also, I think this is on Netflix also. The Center Will Not Hold. It's a documentary about Joan Didion. If any of you are Joan Didion fans, you would love it.
Sure.
She was an incredible
Oh,
writer.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
She mixed. She was part of the para-journalists of the era that, like Tom Wolfe,
Right.
whatever, that told stories in fictional manner, but they were real stories. And this is about her life. So it was pretty touching. I really enjoyed it. She is such a skinny woman. I didn't realize how.
Oh my gosh.
I know she smoked all the time. One of the warnings they show you is, excessive smoking. And it's just all her, she's always got a cigarette in her.
Yeah.
What's it on?
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing on Sunday morning about, what's his name?
Yes.
Griffin Dunn?
Done.
He's
Yes.
he's like, was he her nephew or?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he kind of reinforces that whole film by saying what he did with his aunts.
Right. That's what made me want to watch it after I saw that Sunday morning piece. But if you want a great monster movie, you can't miss with Godzilla.
You're really pushing this.
Right?
Yeah.
It's called Godzilla -1 because at the time Japan was considered zero after the war.
Yeah, you think?
Because they had to give up all their offensive weapons and that sort of thing. So this is because Godzilla came along, they had to get some of these things out. They decided to call it -1. Let Japan a little bit of a, and it's I don't know. It's up. You guys decide. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But there and I'm sure it would be great at a IMAX theater and all that. I'm sure it could make runs doing that.
And you could really see the strings. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And he stomps people and he knocks down
And cars. Yes.
telephone poles and he causes tidal waves and tsunamis. All kinds
Good
of
to
stuff.
know.
I don't know.
Anybody else have anything to recommend?
No.
Well, I watched Under the Bridge. I don't know if anyone recommended that or not.
I did. I recommended
Yeah.
that. What'd you
It's
think?
and I did watch. It's really Gladstone, the one that was in Flowers, Pillars of the Flower Moon.
Lily
She's in it.
Gladstone.
And it's really interesting. It's a true story, and that's what makes it so interesting in Canada about these teenage girls that are just horrible. Mean Girls. It's Mean Girls on steroids. That's what it is. But it's kind of interesting story. Murder mystery, if for lack of a better term.
It's done, so you can watch it all. You don't have to wait week
Yeah.
to week. It's on
Right.
Hulu.
Is it just the 1 year? One season?
Yes, it's only got it's three
I think
three
it's
seasons. Is that 4?
or seasons. I didn't even know it had more than one season.
Or maybe it's one season or in like 8 or 9 episodes, something like that. Yeah.
I watched The Hitman after the recommendation from last week, and as Gary said, it's just a fun little show, really. it's not gonna get any awards or anything like that. But,
Just gonna make a boatload of money. Yeah.
you think it'll make is it already made about both? Well, it's on Netflix. Do we know how much shows make on Netflix?
Well, but it was in the theaters first.
Oh, okay.
I watched it in the theater.
It seemed like it just came out, but, then I watched a little bit of Yesterday. Has anybody ever watched that? That's a show, really it's for kids. Jennifer Garner, where it also on Netflix, but just a show where if you have grandkids or something and you want to watch something with them where the parents just go through this day of saying yes to the kids instead of saying no, you can't do that. Everything they ask, they say yes.
Oh.
And it's funny.
Where is it?
It's called Yesterday. It's on Netflix also. But the funniest and best thing I saw besides our movie, I mean, our movie was way better than this, was the new South Park movie on
No, no.
it's on Paramount, I guess. Paramount, I think. And it's about, I think it has to do with the new it's like ending fat in our generation or something like that. And it's about the Ozempic epidemic. And I mean, it's pretty funny. It's good. So I guess that'll be my recommendation. The other two, well, Yesterday, I wouldn't exactly call that a recommendation, but, and the other was already. So I guess I'll make that my recommendation, and I'll find out what the title of it was, but it's the latest South Park movie. It's like an hour 10.
I love South Park.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
You do?
We'll move.
Second?
That was a great pick, Donna. That was a great
Yeah,
pick.
I'm glad I
good.
saw that. I really
All right,
am.
good.
I think
I'm
it's
so glad you liked it. Good.
Yeah, very smart movie.
all right.
Okay.
See everybody
All right.
next week.
Next
care.
week.
Next week.
Bye.
Bye.